All right, if you're a Class 10 student gearing up for your board exams, then you are in exactly the right place. We're going to dive deep into the must-know exam notes on the Human Respiratory System, all thanks to this incredible guide from Prashant Sir at Pratibha Classes. So let's get right into it.
So let's kick things off with something we've all felt. Why do you get out of breath when you run? You know that feeling, right? Your heart's pounding, you're gasping for air. Well, the answer to that really common experience is found in a biological process called respiration.
So what on earth is respiration anyway? To put it simply, it's the process our bodies use to get energy from the food we eat. I mean, every single thing you do, thinking, blinking, and definitely running, it all needs energy. Respiration is how our body unlocks it. It's literally the whole reason we breathe.
Now, there are two main types you gotta know. First up, we have aerobic respiration. The key word here is aerobic, which just means with oxygen. This is our body's go-to, most efficient method for making energy. It all happens in the mitochondria where glucose gets broken down completely. And this equation you see, it's an absolute must-know for your exams. Glucose plus oxygen gives us carbon dioxide, water, and, the main event, a lot of energy.
But what happens when you're sprinting and your body needs energy way faster than you can get oxygen to your muscles? Well, that's when anaerobic respiration jumps in. This is respiration without oxygen. It's way less efficient and produces a lot less energy. And here's something you've definitely felt, that burning sensation in your muscles after a really tough workout. Yep, that's a buildup of lactic acid, and it's a direct result of your muscles switching to this emergency energy plan.
Okay, you're gonna wanna pay close attention here. This slide is pure gold for your exam. The difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration is a classic question, so let's just nail it down. Oxygen? Yep for aerobic, nope for anaerobic. Energy? Way more from aerobic, way less from anaerobic. Products? Aerobic gives you CO2 and water, anaerobic leaves you with lactic acid. And location? Aerobic is in the mitochondria, anaerobic is in the cytoplasm. Seriously, pause and take a screenshot of this. This table is so important.
Okay, so now we know why we need oxygen. Let's actually follow the journey of a single breath of air as it travels through our entire respiratory system. Think of me as your tour guide for this little trip.
Our tour begins right at the nose, which is great because it filters, warms, and moistens the air. From there, the air flows down the trachea, the windpipe, which is held open by these cool C-shaped rings of cartilage. Then, the trachea splits into two tubes called the bronchi, one heading to each lung. Inside the lungs, these tubes branch out like a tree into smaller and smaller bronchioles until they finally reach our destination, millions of tiny little air sacs called the alveoli.
Now that might sound like a lot of parts to remember, but don't worry, Prashant Sir gave us this brilliant little memory trick. Just remember this: N, N, T, B, B, L, A. That's nose, nasal cavity, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, lungs, and alveoli. It's a super simple and effective way to get the order right every single time.
So we know the route air takes, but how does our body actually pull the air in and push it out? What's the mechanism? Well, it all comes down to the mechanics of breathing, which is basically a two-part dance: inhalation and exhalation.
The easiest way to think about this is that they're perfect opposites. When you inhale or breathe in, your ribs move up and out, and your diaphragm muscle moves down. This makes your chest cavity bigger, creating a low-pressure zone that just sucks air in. Exhaling is just the reverse. Ribs move down and in, the diaphragm moves up, the space shrinks, and the air is forced out. It's a beautifully simple pump system.
Okay, so the air has made it all the way into the deepest parts of our lungs. But this, my friends, is where the real magic happens. This is the whole point of this entire complex system, the great gas exchange.
And as the Pratibha Classes notes point out, we have officially arrived at what is probably the single most important part of the entire system, the alveoli. So you're gonna wanna listen up, because this is another one of those board exam favorites. This is the spot where the whole point of breathing actually happens, where oxygen gets into our blood and where waste carbon dioxide gets out.
So what makes the alveoli so special? Well, they're perfectly designed for this job for three key reasons. 1, there are millions of them, which creates a huge surface area. 2, their walls are incredibly thin. We're talking just 1 cell thick. And 3, they are wrapped in this dense web of tiny blood vessels called capillaries. This perfect setup lets oxygen and carbon dioxide move easily across the walls through a process called diffusion, which is really just a fancy way of saying molecules move from a crowded place to a less crowded place.
And this is where it all comes together. Once that oxygen is in the blood, a protein called hemoglobin grabs it and delivers it to every single cell in your body. And inside those cells, that oxygen is finally used to break down glucose and release the energy we've been talking about this whole time. This final, crucial step is called cellular respiration.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground. I know. So now, let's pull everything together into a quick guide. Think of it as your ultimate cheat sheet with the most critical info you absolutely need to nail for your exam.
First, let's hit this vital table one more time. Remember the key differences? Aerobic is with oxygen, and it gives you lots of energy. Anaerobic is without oxygen, for much less energy. Knowing this summary is your ticket to scoring well on these kinds of questions.
And this flowchart? This is the entire story in one place. Step 1, air comes in through the pathway we learned. Step 2, oxygen crosses from the alveoli into the blood. Step 3, cells use that oxygen to make energy. Step 4, the waste product, CO2, moves from the cells back to the blood. And finally, step 5, that CO2 is exhaled. It's the whole process in one simple, exam-friendly diagram.
And just like that, we're back where we started. We've seen just how elegant and absolutely essential the system is for powering our lives. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Knowing everything you know now, what is really happening inside your cells when you push your body to its absolute physical limit? Think about that next time you're out of breath. Thanks for tuning in, and good luck with your exams.